Greetings, I am Branch Rutherford, and I currently serve as the CEO for Yellow Birds Incorporated. We're a forensic accounting group, and we'll be here to serve you.
Greetings, I am Hans Cadet, fourth year accounting student from Miami, Florida, and I am interning with Yellow Birds Incorporated this summer.
I am Brooke A. Mosley, a fourth-year accounting scholar by way of Chicago, Illinois, and I am currently interning with Yellow Birds Incorporated.
Greetings, I am Chantel Walters, a fourth-year accounting student from Deltona, Florida, and I will be interning at Yellowbirds Incorporated.
3 interns who are working on a project for me, directly helping me identify fraud risk for a company. Currently, they don't know that we're going to be working on Disney. So they're analyzing general fraud risk from misappropriation assets, fraud related to financial reporting, and also any external frauds that could happen within the company. Let's take a look at what they're doing.
Alright, so I'm excited about this internship this summer. What do you guys think it's going to be about?
I'm not sure, but hopefully it's not anything like too outrageous like the Adelphia scam that happened back in '02. That thing was crazy. Like, they dealt with all different types of fraud. Like, I know for misappropriation and assets fraud, there was like employee embezzlement, company assets for their own personal gain and use. And it's not really contributing to the company. Yeah.
So how is that benefiting the person that's embezzling money?
I feel like, those individuals might be dealing, the people who embezzle might be dealing with issues such as pressures for like, maybe they have high level of debt to their name, so that might be a pressure for them, or maybe they have a big family, and sometimes you're just greedy.
You want to look good versus, around your colleagues and things like that.
That would definitely be another rationalization. Or like say that it's an employee who worked there for a long period of time and they're not compensated appropriately. They probably will take it upon themselves to help themselves.
But it's crazy, but how would be some opportunities though of embezzlement?
Some opportunities of embezzlement, I would think that it would have to be if you have access to the assets to be stolen. Any employee can, come and steal assets. Those are, pretty easy. You take an object and you leave with it. But nowadays, in these modern times, we have technology. If you have access to their database where they, store and record where the placement and shipments of those assets, you can easily go and modify it and use those assets for your own personal gain.
So basically, you think embezzlement is you think the likelihood is more moderate in most cases in some companies?
It depends on how strong their internal controls would be. It might be moderate, depending on how much access you have. So if you're using, laptops or cell phones, anything that the company provides for you. And I know like with Adelphia, they had jets, they had expensive condos, things that really weren't bringing assets to the company, but, employees were just using the company as a means in order to increase their lifestyle. So, but it's not, anything compared to the sham sales they committed, in order to have financial reporting fraud. Those sham sales, you guys know what sham sales are, right?
Elaborate more on that for me.
Sham sales are basically, fictitious sales. Like basically when companies or when employees look to try and make fictitious sales and get gains from that.
Oh, okay. So basically just recording a sale, falsely recording a sale.
Falsely recording a sale and then taking invoices and, altering the invoices so that you can have inventory, like probably shipped to your house or shipped to a colleague's house or a friend's or a relative's house. And
I also feel like with fictitious sales, the inventory it depends on, like, let's say if you're at a manufacturing company, the opportunity might just be there for you to just grab the inventory, or possibly just not, if you're shipping that inventory to a customer, basically let it not just go to that particular customer possibly. Don't you think so?
Yeah, they have easy access to it, so of course they're gonna have the opportunity to take it.
yeah, but remember that goes closer to employee embezzlement, whereas sham sales, they're actually still recording or leaving a document trail, recording revenue. So like a red flag for sham sales versus just somebody stealing it would be like their uncollectible, their receivables will start to age. So their days in receivable, that ratio would start to increase. So things like that is how you differentiate it.
Okay. So they could falsely record it as a sale, but when you're looking at the days, the 360 days at the end of the year, they're not really restoring that.
Yeah, the 365 days, once it increases, that shows that they're not really getting cash receipts back.
The fact that they're living trail, that kind of give us a more easier search if we want to do like a query search. We possibly search see what are the common addresses.
That's an
It sells.
awesome idea. Yeah. So
Telephone
like
numbers.
their contact information, because they might actually change their names, you never know, but they might keep their same telephone number or the same addresses. And also the time frame, right?
Yeah.
For how often, they're making sales with us.
Yeah.
And if individual has an account that is known for, making orders and not paying on those orders, that's something that a company might want to investigate as well.
And you can also look at their account numbers regarding those sales to see if they match up with how frequent they're making those purchases as well.
Yeah. And so, with that being said, what are some law and corruption fraud? Because it goes outside of just misappropriation of assets and financial reporting fraud.
Well, one I could think of is security fraud.
Oh yeah.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what is securities fraud again?
Security fraud is basically just misrepresenting information on behalf of the company to investors.
Like more so like I think I did hear about that. Like it's like manipulating, like when you say information you mean like the stock prices?
Stock prices, financial statement, anything that'll make the company look good, basically.
As far as like it's the stock prices and like so that the employees like get those bonuses and gains as far as like I believe the term is backdating stock options. Yeah, in order to increase their gains, but that really actually hurts the shareholders. So that's actually pretty illegal.
Yeah.
And I think another type is like insider trading, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Insider trading is a popular one.
So how is insider trading like really executed again?
Well, insider trading is
It's like basically any secrets, right? Like that you will only know if you're.
They're passing information on to other employees so that top management doesn't really find out what they're doing.
So would top management could top management participate in insider trading?
definitely top management,
Yeah.
CEOs, CFOs. They're like the first hand when it comes to insider trading. It's more like, for example, insider trading. Let's say I have some vital information about the stock price, and you're an external person, and you could possibly just slip me a few thousands, and I just expose those information to you.
And so then you're able to trade with some knowledge,
Yes.
on that. Wait, so okay, what if you actually work for the company and you don't tell anybody anything? You just use the information you know to get the gain.
See, when you get that gain, that leads into possibly as a auditor, I could look at your lifestyle. You get more money, so you're gonna probably try to look good, look better.
So
try to
is
show
it legal for you to, make sales on or try and make sales for that, even though you work for that company?
It's definitely-
Sales on that information?
It's definitely legal. It's definitely legal.
Okay.
It's just, and I also think, the fact that it's not something that's you could easily spot just by looking at the financial statement. What are some ways you think, some possible, investigations you could do towards to finding that? Or who could possibly know about to find that out?
I think,
You could look at their tips and complaints with their
With that-
hotlines.
Or is it
With the
about
hotline.
whistleblowing hotline?
Whistleblower, yeah.
Oh,
You could look
yeah.
at that.
yeah, because some people might be able to, overhear conversations, of people, talking about
Yeah.
basically probably selling that information, that insider information for a profit. But I think as far as like a organization that might know more, the SEC and the NASD, I know that they started playing an active role after that whole 02 incident. with Adelphia, that was definitely like one of the things, and then Enron, and so they played a more active role. I think back then they had a greater opportunity to create insider trading because they weren't as strenuous. Those organizations weren't as strenuous with their rules and regulations, whereas nowadays they observe the market, and if you're making trades at times where you would not know to make those trades unless you had insider information, that's how they catch you.
But the other thing is like, you know, with insider trading, you're looking at one stock price for a company. You could also look at the industry. See if possibly the industry don't match up, then that might be a red flag onto why the company, you know, that could be like, why is the company doing so well? When everybody else is, you know, just diminishing over time. It's just, you know, it's just one of those things that's a red flag, I think.
We have some information about the company you'll be working with, which is Walt Disney Incorporation. Here you go. So, Walt Disney is a company, is a multi-billion-dollar company. They have 4 business segments: media networks, parks and resorts, studio entertainment, and interactive. All 4 of which are a very big part of their corporation. Media networks includes segments such as ESPN and ABC, things I'm sure that sports fans and also just people who watch like comedies and other things that come on ABC. A lot of big things come on those 2 channels. With parks and resorts, I'm sure you're all familiar with Walt Disney World and Walt Disneyland, California and Florida. They currently are expanding to Shanghai, and they're having a resort out there in Shanghai. Studios and entertainment, if you're going to go see it in the movies that I'm sure you all saw as young kids, not so much now in college, but the movies that they have out there and the music they have there is comprised of the studio and entertainment segment. Consumer products, Mickey Mouse, Minnie Mouse, a lot of the other apparel and the toys that they hand out, that's all Disney consumer products, and Disney Interactive would be the games that they play on different types of systems, and also have Blockbuster Mobile. Okay, with that, they have 3 key processes that I've identified for you. And with those 3 key processes, you have internal controlling and fraudulent and financial reporting. Basically, you know what that is in making sure that the internal processes are intact, so that they are reporting the correct things to their investors, their shareholders, people like myself, the CEO, and other people who sit on the board of directors. And Imagineering, making sure that it's very key for Disney. Imagineering, they want to make sure that they are on top of their game on every new innovation. So they're constantly having people innovate new things for their company. And like I said, this is very key and distinctive for Disney. They set a group of people aside who are constantly just working on research and development and constantly trying to make a new product, a new idea for their company. And then of course you have sales. Their main source of income doesn't come from physical items. It only comes from the parks and resorts, where they're selling the services of people coming into their park or going into their resort. So now let's talk about some inherent fraud risks that they might have for some of their accounts.
Revenues is a risky account. Revenues are income from all operating activities. Revenues are separated into 2 separate accounts: cash and receivables. Cash can be easily pocketed by an employee who's working directly with a customer and receiving cash by simply destroying the cash.
Receivables are a risky account in its own because it's the most common account that fraudsters use in order to manipulate and make the company appear healthier than it really is. They do this by creating ghost customers as well as fictitious sales. Fictitious sales meaning the billing of already existing customers within a company and recording that as a sale. Also, ghost customers includes creating a profile of an entire customer that doesn't really exist and still billing that and counting that as a receivable. Eventually, this is unhealthy for a company because those cash receipts are not accepted.
These are all great suggestions, but have y'all thought about looking into film and television costs for Disney? These costs are all capitalized. Capitalized costs can also be very risky for companies, so let's look into those as well. Also, have you looked into other income and expenses for the company? Other income and expenses for companies can tend to be very risky because they're thrown in a lot of different accounts. So it's kind of hard to tell and determine what exactly is in there. And companies sometimes use these accounts to throw off fraud investigators as well as auditors. So let's look into these accounts as well. Now I want y'all to look into the financial statement analysis. Do a horizontal and vertical analysis and do some ratios as well, so we can kind of dig deep into Disney's financial statements and see if we can determine any more specific frauds about the company.
After giving much consideration to the type of industry that Disney is in, we considered that there would be a 10% threshold, immaterial threshold, before looking further in depth into each account for considering possible threats of fraud. With that being said, Disney is an international company, so we added an additional 4.99% flexibility for our immaterial threshold.
After computing our vertical and horizontal analysis, which come through, so there is a 16% increase in cash and cash equivalent, which is due to Disney selling their receivables to different banks to get a faster cash inflow to pay off some of their borrowings from previous years like 2011, 2012 due to expansion.
In addition, employees who are in charge of safeguarding those cash receipts and keeping storage and record of them also have the opportunity to pocket cash. And moving on to receivables, receivables are a risky account in its own because it's the most common account that fraudsters use in order to manipulate and make the company appear healthier than it really is. They do this by creating ghost customers as well as fictitious sales. Fictitious sales meaning the billing of already existing customers within a company and recording that as a sale.
I really appreciate all of your help, and I just want to talk about some of the company-related frauds that I was able to point out based off of the information that y'all provided for me. So the first one I saw was fictitious sales. Fictitious sales could possibly occur within Disney because of cash receipts. Fictitious cash receipts occur. This can occur, we pointed this out because the bad debt expense ratio going down has decreased by half since 2011, from 0.64% to 0.34%. Also, we mentioned skimming. Skimming is a possible fraud list that could occur within Disney. This can happen by employees of our company is taking money from our customers and not depositing it into our cash registers. So this is something that is potentially risky for a company, and we will have to look forward and give that information out to Disney. Also, another fraud risk that we saw was bribery. Being a big company, Disney, a huge billion-dollar company, this is something that we don't want the employees of Disney to engage in. It's something that can be very risky with the employees and the CEOs and the other C-suites. Engaging in bribery, and it's something that we pointed out to be very risky. And financial analysis and inherent fraud risk that we've gone over today and earlier throughout the duration of your internship. We've encountered that Disney overall is a moderately risky company, and we want to go in. I want y'all comments on Disney and give y'all overall feedback of Disney.
Overall, you concluded that the fraud risk was moderate.
What further recommendations might y'all have? I know one of mine will talk about their borrowings. Their borrowings have continuously increased, and more specifically about their borrowings, they're using new debt to pay off old debt. That's not something that they want to do, and that's one thing that I would recommend to Disney is to try to implement a plan to reduce the usage of new borrowings paying off old borrowings, so that they can accumulate cash, and so they can increase their quick ratios to get over the 1.0 margin, so that they are showing investors that they can pay off their current.
You also want to decrease their guest offerings, and in that way, when you do that, you will decrease the price of what you're offering the guests.
And by decreasing the prices, wouldn't that make that more marketable for consumers? So in order for them to try and pay off that debt rather than using more debt, they can use their operating income.